Hello, this is Mr. Boyer. In this video I'll be showing you how to solve equations with perfect square and cube roots. So, as you know, inverse operations means the opposite operation. So inverse operations cancel each other out. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. And the inverse of subtraction is addition. The inverse of multiplication is division. And the inverse of division is multiplication. Same goes with squares and cubes. The inverse of x squared is the square root of x. And the inverse of cube root is, of cubed, x cubed, excuse me, is the cube root of that number. So those are just inverse operations. They're the opposite and they undo each other. So let's do an example here. So this is just a normal two-step equation, and sometimes you're going to have to use cube roots or square roots to solve the final answer. So here we have a two-step equation. We want to get this 4 on the other side, so we multiply both sides by 4. Multiply that by 4. That cancels out, so we're left with x squared is equal to 100. But we don't want to know what x squared is. We want to know what x is. So we use the inverse operation, and we take the square root. And I like to write the little square and kind of cross that 2 out as I write it. And then if I square root one side, I have to square root the other side. So we know that 100 squared, or what number times itself, is 100. And we know that it's 10. So let's do this next one. If I do my inverse my order of operations, I'm going to divide by 6, divide by 6. Or excuse me, I'm trying to solve a two-step equation here. So I'm actually doing the reverse of the order of operations. That gives me, that's 64. So x squared is equal to 64. And to undo that square, I'll draw the little square root sign, kind of cross that 2 out as I go to remind myself. If I square root one side, I have to square root the other. That gives me x equals 8. 8 times 8 is 64. And I forgot to write my little x equals on that side too. Alright, let's move on to cubes. So if I want to solve this, first I need to multiply both sides by 8. Multiply by 8, cancels that out. I'm left with x cubed is equal to 64. To undo a cube, you have to take the cube root of both sides. And to do the cube root, we do our little factor tree. 8 times 8 is 64. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2. 2 times 2. We look for groups of 3. There's one group of 3, which is a 2. Here's another group of 3, which is another 2. Multiply those together, and you get 4. So x equals 4. Let's do this other one over here. We divide both sides by 6. Divide by 6. And you get x cubed is equal to 125. How do I get rid of that cube root? Or the cube, I have to do the cube root of it. Do the cube root. So that leaves me with an x equals, and the cube root of 125. Let's do it the long way here, just in case you don't know how to do that. We know 5 times 25. 5 times 5 is 25, and the group of 3 here. So x equals 5. Ta-da! Hope that helps.